Ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for coming to the session on sustainable land management and the decision support system for sustainable land management. I think we heard in the plenary yesterday from a number of speakers there that land use planning, sustainable land management and land use planning is part of the backbone, an important part of the backbone of successful landscape approaches, and we're going to hear a little bit about that today. Thanks so much for coming. My name is Tom Hammond. I'm with the Land and Water Division in FAO, and we have been coordinating this program, multi-country program, over the last 3 years across 15 countries worldwide. One quick housekeeping announcement before I pass over to Eduardo Mansour, the Director of the Land and Water Division at FAO, to introduce this session. We've got two presentations, one of which will be, we've got 5 presentations, 2 of which will not be in English. One will be in Spanish, one will be in French. All of the slides will be in English. So if you need translation, we've got translation there, and the translation devices, the headsets are over there, so you may just want to grab yourself a headset if you need it. And ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say, while we do have 5 presentations that we expect about 10 minutes per presentation, we want to try to maximize as much time as possible for questions and answers. We want to hear from you. We'd very much like to have your comments and your questions back, and so we're looking forward to that. We will try to maximize as much time as possible, and I will make sure that whoever wants to speak has an opportunity to speak. And with that, I'd like to hand it over to Eduardo Mansour to open the session.
Thank you very much, Tom. Ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, my name is Eduardo Mansour. I'm the Director of the Land and Water Division in FAO. It's a great pleasure to welcome you to this session. We are very excited to have the opportunity to talk about a project that we have been developing. The name of the project is Decision Support to Sustainable Land Management. We heard in this forum, since yesterday, the Deputy Mayor asking us to be the driver of positive change. We also heard from Karen Camper from the World Bank a call for us to look at the urgent need to reach sustainable production systems. And I think the repeated voice here is how you get landscapes sustainably producing. Now, the objectives of FAO, the organization where I work, are threefold. Is to eliminate hunger in the planet during our lifetime. It's something that we can do. We can reach that. It is to eliminate poverty, especially rural poverty, with the whole set of the Sustainable Development Goals of leaving no one behind being the line of action, not only for FAO, but for the whole UN. We look at, especially at the SDG number 2, which is the zero hunger, and how it links with the others, like the SDG 6 on water or SDG 15 on life on land. And this is our major roadmap. And, of course, to do the elimination of hunger and the poverty using sustainably the natural resources. So that's a part that brings us here, the objective 3. How we do it sustainably. And sustainable land management has this perspective, the global picture, which is not easy to handle. Normally, it's much easier to go for your specific niche area and work there. And I just came from an excellent session about bamboo restoration. And my challenge with the colleagues discussing bamboo is how we put bamboo in the big picture. It's an excellent tool. It grows very fast. It's very important, but cannot be taken alone. That was the discussion. Now, this project is being implemented for 3 years. It's a sequel of other projects that we have been dealing on how to bring to the decision maker information for land resource planning. And land resource planning, when we studied in university, my time, it was just get the slope and the curve, and then this area is good for this area is good for that. That's physical planning. Physical planning is important, but it's not sufficient because society has its own movement. Who owns that land and who has access to that land makes the land use effective on the terrain. So decision support for sustainable land use planning or integrated approach are complex. And what we make us happy and proud to be here to bring to you is because we are showcasing some concrete examples. They're not all success stories, but they are concrete stories. And we are going to have, and I'm very honored to introduce the case studies. It's not to talk about how nice the theory is. It's to talk about concrete examples that comes from countries. This project particularly that we are implementing, it has the funniest acronym in the word, SLM. It's like we saw in Spanish, we say trabalengua. That's you cannot repeat it. It's decision support for sustainable land management. Brought lots of new knowledge within these 15 countries that are involved. And we have some of them to present the cases here. And I would like to welcome our panelists according to the order I'm going to call to sit with me here in the panel. I'll start with Umid Abdullayev. Umid is the Technical Director of Design and Research in the Institute of Uzbekistan in the Ministry of Water Resource of the Republic of Uzbekistan. Umid has over 35 years of experience, extensive expertise in water and agricultural resources, and has been working in many countries, including in his region and in Africa. I'm very happy to have you. Please, Umid, you can take the chair, and I will invite Samuel Contreras from the Philippines. Samuel is the head of the Division of Soil Conservation, the Bureau of Soils and Water Management, actively involved in the WOCAT. Who doesn't know what WOCAT is, I will let you know in a minute, but I think it's very well known for everyone. But I'll close with that one. And Samuel plays a key role in the Philippines government in the engagement with the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification. As you know, the UNCCD has a big target ahead of it, the Land Degradation Neutrality Target, the LDN target, which has been endorsed by the UNCCD members and is now the target 15.3 of SDG 15, a land degradation neutral world. What does it mean, land degradation neutrality? Carbon neutrality is easier to understand, right? But land degradation neutrality, a working definition that we use, is when you have sustainable land management plus restoration minus unsustainable or degraded land. So this is a mathematical way of explaining the neutrality of land degradation, or the strive for a land degradation neutral world. Another country that's represented here is Morocco, and I'm pleased to invite Mohamed Gerouji, who's a forest engineer, like me, my colleague, and has also over 30 years of experiences in water and forest sectors in Morocco. Welcome, Mohamed. He's Chief of Coordination in the High Commissioner of Water, Forests, and Combat Desertification. And again, he has a very good link with the UNCCD program in his country and in management programs. The fourth country that is represented in this panel is Colombia. It's a great pleasure to invite Javier Otero Garcia. Bienvenido. Javier is an agrologist, an agronomist, with specialist in soil surveys. He's working as a PhD candidate in tropical ecology at the University of Basque Country in Spain. His work has been focused on land use, agroecosystem, land evaluation, recently studies on soil degradation and erosion. He has worked in different governmental agencies associated to Ministry of Agriculture and Environment in his home country in Colombia. So you see we have a nice representativeness of the regions that the project has been working. Thank you very much for making our way to Bonn and joining us in this session, which, by the way, is being recorded because we want to use it as spots for exchange with other colleagues. So let's try to have it very interactive, and I will hand over to Tom to make it attractive and interactive. Before that, let me introduce the word overview of Conservation Approaches and Technologies, WOCAT. The representative of WOCAT is Nicole Harari. Nicole, can you join us here, please? Thank you very much. Nicole is a sustainable land management and knowledge management expert within the WOCAT, which is a program based for the last 25 years in University of Bern in Switzerland. WOCAT is our 25 years, guys. It's a lifetime pattern. Huh? It's almost the time I'm married. I'm married for 30 years already, so it's almost there. Huh? We have this marriage with WOCAT. Why? Because it's the knowledge center that try to bring what is knowledge, what is gray area that we have to continue learning, and what is purely hypothesis in the land use approach, with the evolution that it has been done. And I will close before handing over to Tom to run the panel. I am very happy and very honored to introduce the panel for you. Let me close, Tom, with one point only. What's the landscape? You remember a few years ago we are trying to fight with the definition of landscape, and if you translate it to Spanish, it gets a bit strange, and into French, and I think we passed this phase. And if you look at the material that's being distributed in the door, and I would encourage you to carry one, there is a booklet, a 4-pager named Landscapes for Life, which try to, it's not to summarize, but to catch your attention for further reading. And here, the landscape is defined as a physical area that's large enough to produce vital ecosystem service, yet small enough to be managed by the people who use the resource and produce those services. So you have to have ecosystem services impact, but you have to have social impacts. And if you have to have social impacts, there's no way that you do it without economic impacts. So the 3 pillars of sustainability in an area that has a physical dimension able to produce them. I like very much this. It's working definition. I don't want to coin it as the FAO definition or of a landscape, but it's a working definition. You also have the documents there, the summary of the project, the modules that have been developed to help countries go about land resource planning. So now the session is open, and the challenge we have is that we have a project that developed a sustainable land management portfolio and modules. Did it work? Did it work in the countries? What is the lesson learned in the last 3 years? I hand over to Tom. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Eduardo, for that introduction. And I don't think we need any further words from myself. As I said at the beginning, however, we're going to try to maximize as much time as we possibly can to hear from you. DSSLM is not a particularly useful acronym for communications purposes, but I think WOCAT is. It's one of my favorite acronyms, and I'm going to hand over to Nicole for the introductory presentation and the overview of the decision support system. Nicole.
So good morning, everybody. So before we move to the concrete country examples, we thought to present to you briefly this decision support framework that Eduardo was just introducing and the modules that have been guiding the countries in the last 3 years. And just to tell you where that all comes from, so the project background to this is basically the land degradation assessment in drylands project, which has been implemented until 2011, where the objective was really together in a co-design with these 6 pilot countries that you can see below there to develop tools for assessing land degradation and SLM. So that was kind of the starting point where also FAO and WOCAT have really collaborated on developing this toolbox with the countries. And then what followed is the DSSLM project, where basically we said, okay, now we have a nice toolbox, but that is not very useful if we don't embed these tools in a framework, and in a framework that helps us to mainstream and scale out sustainable land management. So you can see I think there is a, can you hear me? Oh, okay. So the DSSLM project, as you can see here, was implemented in these 15 countries on the 3 continents. So why did we need why did we need that framework? So as I said, we had proper and proven and well-acknowledged LD and SLM assessments that do deliver the necessary knowledge that we need for evidence-based decision-making. However, that framework aimed at developing this overall strategy for mainstreaming and scaling out. And what is crucial here is that this strategy is really available at the beginning of any intervention. So we said we do not want to look at the scaling out or scaling up and out only towards the end of an intervention on a project, but we really want to discuss and design such a strategy at the very beginning of any intervention to have a concrete plan for what's coming after the project, and so to guarantee a long-term sustainability. And for this, we need appropriate scaling instruments, so considering ecological, institutional, socioeconomic conditions that help us to implement SLM, be it at the landscape or also at the national level. So that's a bit the background to this framework, which you can see here, and you have it also in front of you. So you can see we have this module 1, which is basically the strategy design and development, the gray module, which is framing the assessments, the LD and SLM assessments at landscape and national, subnational level at the heart of it. So the strategy is really looking at where do we scale out, what do we scale out, and how do we do that. In the middle, the toolbox are these tools, LADA, VOCA tools for land use and management assessment and planning. All of this is very much participatory, multi-stakeholder processes are guiding the process, and we have focused in the last 3 years very much also on building the capacities of the institutions involved in the project to really apply these tools also beyond the 3 years of DSSLM. What is also particular here is that this framework, even though you can see it here, it is flexible and it's adaptable to countries' needs. So we have developed these modules. So depending on what countries did before, in which projects they were involved, which data they have available in terms of land use mapping, and also in terms of what activities are currently going on in the countries, the 15 countries were able to adopt this framework and adapt it to their specific needs. So we will hear about that later from our colleagues. So just to run you briefly through those modules, I don't want to be too long, but just to give you an impression. So here it's again, you can see some impressions from that design of the mainstreaming strategy in the countries. So what is important to highlight here is that we always, first of all, want to look at the barriers that are existing at the local level, and then we take it from there. So we do not start just with a national strategy. That sounds very nice, but the first thing they did in the countries was really to see what are the barriers that we have at the local level and how can we take that to the subnational and maybe even to the national level. As I said before, so we really want to prioritize decision-making processes that help us or facilitate scaling out beyond a project. And when we talk about decision-making processes, we mean more or less what you can see here. So that can be a policy or a regulation, a program or a project. It can be incentives and financing mechanisms. It can be territorial planning or local decisions. So that's when we talk about decision-making processes, depending really on the country context and also the necessity in the countries. Several of these processes have been defined as key for scaling up and scaling out sustainable land management. And you can see, so you will hear from the countries that depending on what they have developed, this could be either at the landscape level or they really took it up even to the national level, these strategies. And all really based on partnerships with different institutions and on capacity building. So module 1 is really the national and subnational assessment. You can see here different maps that have been produced, so really to help us to understand what are the drivers, the pressures, and the impacts of land degradation and sustainable land management, and to analyze the state of the land use systems as well as the trends for each land use system. And that helps us to identify what we always call the hot spots as well as the green spots of SLM. So where is the situation really bad, but where do we also have promising solutions? And then in a multi-stakeholder process, we identified, or they identified, priority landscapes for intervention. And down there you can always see, just for a reference, the tools that have been used to do so. So after the priority locations have been identified, countries did a local assessment. We have also different tools and methods available there. The LADA local assessment stemming from this LADA project, as well as the VOCAT questionnaires and database, which I guess most of you are aware of. So that really helps to identify potential SLM practices, also document and assess and evaluate good practices and data, and then negotiate and select appropriate options with stakeholders. Module 5 and 6 is then really the territorial planning. So to see how can this data now being used to formulate territorial responses, considering already existing plans and implementation mechanisms. So we don't want to create something new, but embed this information into these existing processes. And that's obviously very much linked to the mainstreaming and scaling out strategy. And then eventually module 6 is really the implementation and scaling out. So that can be through the demo sites, through farmer-to-farmer exchange, through technical assistance, and so on. So I think with that, I would like to close. And I forgot module 7. I was already thinking about the implementation. I forgot the most important, which we from VOCAT are promoting since 25 years. So that's it. So you can see module 7, it's really about the knowledge management that is basically linked to all the modules. And here, depending also again on the country context and needs, different platforms have been developed, or evidence has been uploaded and shared on national platforms to really guarantee that we have the evidence available for decision making. And what is crucial here, what we always say in VOCAT, is that we need standardized and harmonized knowledge. So we have in each country information about good practices, but if we cannot compare these good practices with each other, or compare good practices from similar agroecological zones in different countries, then we cannot be so efficient. So what we really try is to support the development of standardized and harmonized knowledge in all these countries. And one of the tools to do so is the VOCAT database, which is the recommended database by the UNCCD for best practices reporting on sustainable land management. So now with that, I would like to end and hand over back to Tom.
Thanks so much, Nicole. And I'd encourage any of you here to have a look at the WOCAT database. It's an incredibly rich resource, and we're proud to be part of that as well at FAO. I'd like to hand over to Javier Garcia for the next presentation from Colombia. As I mentioned at the beginning, we've got two presentations that are not in English. Javier's presentation is in Spanish. If you need a headset, they are over there. We have translation. And Javier, over to you.
Okay. Bien, muy buenos días. Mi presentación va a ser en español, entonces si alguien deba tomar el traductor. Bueno, muy bien. El proyecto en Colombia ha tenido un desarrollo bastante interesante en la aplicación de todo el marco metodológico del enfoque de manejo sostenible de tierras. Creo que va a hacer alguna introducción sobre Colombia, porque es muy importante su ubicación. Colombia es un país tropical, pero más que todo ecuatorial, en la cual está catalogado entre los 5 países más con mayor diversidad biológica del mundo. Y eso obliga a que los manejos que se realicen en el país pues, tengan ciertas características en cuanto al manejo de los recursos naturales. ¿Va para adelante? ¿Ya? Ok. Bien, lo que tengo que decir con respecto a la aplicación del marco de referencia es que hemos aplicado los 7 módulos dentro del país y ha sido de bastante utilidad para coordinar, para ordenar, para poder articular institucionalmente los diferentes organismos que tienen que ver con el manejo de los recursos naturales, particularmente con la producción agrícola. La metodología es bastante útil en el sentido de que lleva unos pasos lógicos que conllevan desde diferentes niveles de lo general o lo nacional, lo subnacional o lo regional, hasta lo local y llegar directamente hasta el productor. En ese sentido, bien, para el primer, se realizó una evaluación subnacional, digamos que Colombia es un país bastante grande, o sea, se hizo y muy diverso, ¿no? Tenemos parte del Caribe, parte del Pacífico, tenemos de los Andes, Amazonía, Orinoquía, o sea que no podíamos tomar todo el país para realizarla. Entonces hemos tomado una de las subregiones del país que se denomina el Caribe colombiano, que está relacionado con orobiomas secos tropicales, que son un poco diferentes a lo que normalmente conocemos como las zonas húmedas de esta región. Entonces se hizo esta selección, esta evaluación en 4 departamentos o estados del país que suman más o menos 6.3 millones de hectáreas, que es el equivalente a Panamá, por ejemplo, ¿no? Entonces se realizó esta evaluación tomando información de uso de la tierra, el estado de la degradación actual de la región, las necesidades de los productores y agricultores, pero particularmente cumpliendo también los acuerdos de paz que se realizaron, se firmaron el año pasado y que son muy importantes para la reinserción y para nuevamente la utilización de la tierra en zonas desplazadas. Y una de estas zonas es justamente la zona del Caribe. En esta evaluación pues, se realizaron mapas de uso del suelo, mapas de degradación de la tierra de tipo físico, químico y biológico y se hicieron adicionalmente las recomendaciones necesarias. Se hizo una selección y priorización de los paisajes. Hay 2 paisajes muy importantes de importancia ambiental para esta zona, que son los Montes de María, que es una zona también de mucha violencia en Colombia y que requiere necesariamente la atención del país. Y la otra son los humedales del Bajo Sinú, un río que se llama Sinú. Dentro de los Montes de María se hizo una evaluación o una selección para realizar la evaluación local. Esta evaluación local se realizó a escala 1:25.000 en un municipio que se llama San Juan Nepomuceno, que tiene más o menos 65.000 hectáreas y que está en zona de bosque seco tropical. Se generaron todos los mapas a esta escala, es una escala, digamos, adecuada. La escala 100.000 ya deja de ser muy poco práctica a nivel de planificar. La escala 25.000 ya tiene mucho más utilidad y se generaron los mapas de uso actual de la tierra, los sistemas de uso, los mapas de degradación, tanto de químico, físico y biológico, particularmente de erosión, salinización y transformación biológica. Se realizaron talleres con los expertos de la zona y se hicieron recomendaciones para su uso. Con respecto a la implementación de las prácticas de manejo, en esta misma zona se definieron 5 sitios sobre los cuales se realizaron prácticas de manejo sostenible. Voy a explicar dos de ellos más adelante, pero se hizo una revisión de todas las prácticas porque digamos que cada región es particular, no se puede aplicar en ciertos aspectos o características todas las prácticas a los diferentes sitios. Y en estos sitios se hizo una sinergia con otros proyectos. El tiempo en el cual se realiza no da para empezar un proceso que dura un poco más de tiempo, al menos 5 años tendríamos que haber durado para realizar esta implementación. Sin embargo, ahí hay procesos en que se están dando, hacemos una sinergia con estos proyectos y se definen estos acuerdos, en lo cual hicimos monitoreo y seguimiento a través de indicadores de impacto. Se midieron cambios en la cobertura vegetal, cambios en el uso de la tierra, cambios en el contenido de carbono orgánico con medidas de manejo sostenible, sin medidas de manejo sostenible, cambios en la humedad del suelo y cambios en la biomasa. Paralelamente se hizo un análisis sobre los instrumentos de planificación territorial, que más adelante voy a hablar, y finalmente se hizo toda la gestión del conocimiento a través de capacitaciones, talleres, cursos, piezas de divulgación y particularmente la documentación en el WOCAT. Este es un ejemplo del módulo 4 de la evaluación local, en la cual se realizó una interpretación de cobertura vegetal a través de imágenes de sensores remotos de forma reciente. Para decir uso actual tenemos que hacerlo de forma reciente. Esto se realizó con imágenes de alta resolución de enero del 2018. Se generó entonces el mapa de cobertura. Junto con otra información climática y de relieve se generaron los mapas de sistemas de uso de la tierra. Sobre los mapas de uso de la tierra se hicieron talleres con expertos productores que reconocieran los procesos de degradación que se tenían allí. Particularmente se definieron algunos procesos muy importantes como es la erosión, los movimientos en masa, en algunas zonas la salinización, la compactación de los suelos. El proceso, digamos que quizá lo explico mejor si hablamos de la siguiente paisaje, que es en los Montes de María. El paisaje de los Montes de María son unos paisajes de bajas montañas que tiene bosque seco tropical, pero ha sido transformado, fragmentado sus ecosistemas y han generado unos procesos en los cuales pasan a ser ganadería. ¿Qué genera esto? Quemas, erosión, compactación. ¿Cuáles son las prácticas de manejo que nosotros hemos implementado? Empezar a recuperar los árboles, transformar de esos sistemas ganaderos a sistemas silvopastoriles y sistemas agroforestales. Esto también crear unos corredores biológicos que permiten necesariamente una mayor cantidad de diversidad en cuanto al alimento y garantizar la seguridad alimentaria y la autonomía alimentaria de estas comunidades. El otro ejemplo que tenemos es el paisaje de los humedales del río Sinú en la parte baja. Estos humedales o un sistema cenagoso que decimos allá, que es una serie de... se ha quitado, digamos, durante bastantes años lo que es el bosque, los bosques de inundación. Hemos pasado a hacer pasturas, ganadería dentro de las zonas cenagosas y terminamos unas zonas de salinización, sequías y una pérdida de la biodiversidad. ¿Qué se ha hecho? Empezar a rescatar acciones, digamos, que desde la parte ancestral indígena se realizaba, hace unos 500 años más o menos, que hoy se han desaparecido, y es generar diques, sobre los diques hacer unos controles sobre los pulsos de agua que tiene la ciénaga, en estos diques poder hacer cultivos transitorios de alimentación, empezar a reconstruir necesariamente el bosque inundable, y hacer unos sistemas de producción de pesca, lo cual hace que aumente necesariamente la variedad de alimentación y el sustento para las comunidades. Adicionalmente, se recobra la diversidad acuática que tienen estos sistemas cenagosos. Finalmente, se hizo un análisis, digamos que en Colombia y creo que en los mayores países de Latinoamérica, no es por falta de políticas o planes, al contrario, tenemos muchas políticas y planes. ¿Dónde está el problema? En la aplicación, en la implementación de esas políticas. Es muy bueno tener todos estos documentos, pero al final la aplicación de la implementación de las políticas tiene serios problemas. Entre ellos, el más importante es la desarticulación institucional, ¿no? Hay una brecha entre todos los ministerios de Agricultura y el Ministerio de Ambiente, entre las instituciones que generan, hay veces controversias entre ellos, que por tanto, digamos, hacen que necesariamente tengamos que hacer una acción sobre esa articulación. Otra de las barreras necesariamente es la falta de distribución equitativa de los recursos financieros. Y lo otro es la debilidad en la asistencia y la extensión agrícola que tienen estas comunidades. Entonces, ¿cuáles son las actividades para superar estas barreras que se han hecho? Pues hemos hecho agendas intersectoriales entre el Ministerio de Agricultura y el Ministerio de Ambiente. Se ha generado lo que se denomina el cierre de la frontera agrícola con el fin de evitar mayor deforestación y mayor degradación. Se está haciendo investigación y extensión a través de políticas y proyectos en los cuales el manejo sostenible de tierras se incorpora a todos estos planes, a través especialmente de proyectos de reconversión agrícola, crecimiento verde y restauración ecológica. Hay una mayor sensibilización sobre el conocimiento, porque quizá el problema grande que tenemos, y quizá en muchos países, es que la gente reconozca que hay degradación de suelos, hay degradación de tierras. Ese es el mayor problema. O sea, cuando hablamos con las comunidades, dicen, esto ha sido siempre así, llevan 50 años allí, pero las dos generaciones últimas han visto esto y consideran que no hay degradación, y es quizá la parte, y luego los técnicos mismos, ¿no? Yo soy agrónomo también, y quizá yo siempre digo una cosa, es a veces nos forman, pero nos deforman también, ¿no? En el sentido de nosotros entender de que hacer agricultura, hacer ganadería en ladera en nuestro país es fatal, ¿no? Con precipitaciones que llegan hasta los 5.000 milímetros al año, la escorrentía es una cosa es impresionante. Entonces los movimientos en masa cuando se ha quitado el bosque termina siendo una cosa impresionante. Hemos trabajado principalmente en los tres instrumentos que son más vinculantes. Uno, el Plan de Desarrollo Nacional. Ahorita con el cambio de gobierno que acabamos de tener, aparece un nuevo campo frente a esto. El otro es el Plan de Ordenamiento Territorial, que todos los municipios, que son 1.100 municipios en el país, tienen que hacerlo necesariamente y es obligatorio. Y el otro es el Plan de Ordenamiento de Cuencas Hidrográficas. El Plan de Ordenamiento Territorial es de orden más bien administrativo, el Plan de Manejo de Cuencas es de orden agrícola y ambiental. Bien, con esto se garantiza de que tengamos necesariamente unos niveles, desde pasar de las naciones, subnacionales, local, hasta el agricultor, y ahora empezar a subir a través de empezar a hacer las réplicas de estos procesos. Listo. Muchas gracias por su atención.
Thanks so much, Javier. As I said, I hope you're thinking a little bit about the questions you might want to ask our country colleagues here. We're going to move to a very, very different part of the world, to Uzbekistan, and I'd like to hand over to Professor Umid to come up and tell us a little bit about the country program there. Thank you so much.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for giving me opportunity to be here. And just now we passed from tropical Colombia to dry and arid zone. We are living in Uzbekistan. You know very well that Uzbekistan is situated in the middle of Middle Asia, in the heart of Arid Sea disaster region, with the population 32 million citizens. And we choose two sides. There are many lands in Uzbekistan, but some, it's a mountains region, pre-mountains region, pre-desert region, and of course desert lands. We choose two pilots. One of them is situated in irrigated area nearby pre-mountains region, and next one, rain-fit area, which is situated in the virgin lands. There are many lands, but there is no any water. Due to which told Nicole just now, we carried out, of course, decision support framework. didn't tell detailedly because Nicole told about this one very nice. And of course, on these details, you know, you don't know. About 50% of irrigated lands is affected to secondary salinization in our country because we are living in arid zone and all our lands are subjected to salinity. And more than 17% of these lands are classified as moderately and high salined lands. And more than 36% of land is affected for erosion factors. And practically all the country's ecosystems are subjected for different changing. Due to this one, during the chosen pilots, we choose an irrigated area, which is close to Jizak region. And in this region, irrigated region, we have lands which are subjected for salinity. What is necessary to do? Of course, it's necessary to choose some technologies which give of opportunity to increase yield. One of them is crops diversification with introduction of legumes and green menace on the cell-affected soils. Next one, we show new sorts of cotton named Gulistan, which is salt-tolerant sort of this one. In rain-fit area, virgin lands, we choose quite in our technologies because on the lands in which we have the water, we have very high density of population. Unfortunately, in these lands, there are many lands, but there is no any population because there is no any water. And of course, it's necessary to choose such type of technologies which give opportunity to grow something there. That is why we choose technology planting to small terraces and to seed grasses there. And grass is eating for sheep and so on, so on, so on. Next one, of course, cultivation of desert drought-resistant crops on rain-fed lands for reducing of soil erosion, first of all. Next one, due to this work, we carried out soil organic carbon map of Uzbekistan. It's help us to understand what had happened in Uzbekistan now. And of course, we carried out assessment for land degradation for UNCCD price reporting, and we carried out some maps because of the roughly 30% of our lands are subjected for land degradation. That is why we carried out such map with the ranking of all the system of degradation in our republic. And due to this one, we calculated how much money are necessary to prevent this degradation. 5 options as sustainable land management. You can see that for light system of degradation, it's necessary to spend roughly $300 per hectare. And of course, it will be heavy degradation. Much money are necessary to spend for showing, for decision making, how much money are necessary to spend for this one. And in due to this one, Nicole told about this one, we carried out the SLM option structure for planning and decision making. Of course, we use the FAO, LADA, WOCAT, and now the global tools for showing how it's possible step by step to improve situation on our degradation lands. And due to this work, on the local level, we presented a few technologies which can improve situation on the local level. On the subnational level, we organize stakeholder workshops, expert meetings in support to SLM scaling out. On the national level, we organize seminars, expert meetings, round tables, and the regional level, of course, under the umbrella of WOCAT FAO, we organize training workshops. And you could see that all the population were involved in this job. And due to this one, we carried out some strategy, how it's possible to implement and how it's possible to organize sustainable land management on the regional, national, subnational, and local level. And what we achieved? The main thing during this job, of course, is necessary to achieve something. What we achieved, we demonstrate some 5 cost-effective and SLM technologies in the solar effect and drought-prone lands. Farmer benefits are, it's a very important thing, increasing cotton yield of Gulistan new sort from 1.8 ton per hectare up to 3.2 tons per hectare at average. And water saving during vegetation season is about 2,000 cubic meters per hectare. It means that 2 irrigation events we avoid. And of course, flower income increased up to 4 times, I think so. The area under the SLM during 2 crop season are increased from 2,000 hectares on 2017 up to the more than 4,000 hectares in 2018. And then in future, we expect area under SLM will be increased up to the 10,000 hectares. And I mean it will be bright future. And of course, 2 project proposals for resource mobilization to enhance SLM scaling out at a wider scale of salt-affected landscape, they're developed for future action. Thank you very much for giving me opportunity to do some small report about our activities in my Uzbekistan. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Umit. And we're about to move from a country that's surrounded by land to a country that's surrounded by water. Like all of my colleagues here, Samuel has a very, very busy job, but he also has a much busier job now because he's the co-chair of the Committee on Implementation of the Convention under the UNCCD. Samuel from the Philippines.
Thank you, sir. So first of all, I would like to thank FAO and WOCAT for inviting us and present our experience. Well, as presented by Nicole, the project consists primarily of 7 modules, but in my case, I'll be presenting basically module 7, which we work extensively. That's why my presentation will be knowledge management and decision support for sustainable land management, the Philippine experience. And I will be presenting this according to the following outline. Of course, in the introduction, trying to look on the importance of knowledge management and decision support on SLM. Where are those SLM practices that we documented? What tools, process, and framework we use, and what are our outputs, and how are we communicating this output to our stakeholders? Of course, I will end my presentation with a conclusion. So if you are going to look on the Philippines, well, due to its geographical setting and location, I would say the Philippines is one of the countries very susceptible to extreme climate events. As a matter of fact, we are host to 20 typhoons per year. Too many of that, we are exporting that to China, Japan, and Taiwan free of charge. And also, we are affected by drought in terms of the 2 to 3 El Nino phenomenon occurring at that cycle. And while sustainable land management is basically at the heart of land degradation neutrality strategies, and I could say that we have a wealth of knowledge as far as sustainable land management is concerned, the problem is they are not well recognized, not adapted, and shared to other land users. So the problem is not the lack of knowledge, but the lack of understanding on the impacts and importance of sustainable land management. That's why we need to document this sustainable land management knowledge, put them in the database, and process them into a decision support tool, which we did under Module 7. So essentially, if we're going to look on our landscape within the context of a watershed, our landscape is confronted with diverse environmental challenges that includes land degradation, biodiversity loss, and of course, climate change. And if we are going to look on what our land users are doing, there are sustainable land management practices and land use management options that can provide that can provide the solution to these problems of land degradation and biodiversity loss. And that's where the area that we documented. So basically, as part of the project, we documented about 34 SLM technologies and 9 approaches covering the following functions: on soil fertility management, on water management, on runoff management, erosion control, both structural and vegetative measures, enrichment planting and protection of vegetative cover, and so on and so forth. And building on existing wealth of knowledge, we use the WACA tools, which provide a common platform for sustainable land management, for SLM knowledge management, that make us more to understand local adaptation and innovation, that help us assess SLM impacts and provide us the means to, or options for spreading this knowledge. And I would like to show the process that we did through WOCAT process and tools. And basically, we capitalize on the land users' experiences, which were shared to us by national government agencies, by local government units, by academe, by civil society organization, and even private sector. So in here, in the process, we used the WOCAT questionnaires on WOCAT, on technology and approaches, from which we generated a good number of knowledge products in terms of reports, books, IEC materials, videos, and also websites, which could be used at the planning level, looking at this particular framework. But then, through the project, we further translated this into decision support tool that is accessible through our SLM website. And then afterwards, we try to communicate these results to our stakeholders. And basically, that becomes our entry point for scaling out. We share this to small land users as part of our ongoing projects on the establishment of techno-demo farms on SLM. We try also to incorporate this in our guidelines for mainstreaming sustainable land management in the comprehensive land use plan of our local government units. And right now, we are now preparing the project document for our JEP6 project, and this become our menu of options for sustainable land management, trying to look on the integrated management of biodiversity corridors. It also provides us a plug-in for knowledge management of another JEP6 project. So basically, those are the entry points that we are now considering as far as trying to scale out and scale up our SLM project. And of course, once we have done that, it needs also research and development and capacity building, because we believe that there's no one-size-fits-all technology, that still we have to pass the process of research and development so that we could ensure that those technologies are really suitable to specific project areas. And I would like to present to you one of our knowledge products. This is our project website. So basically, this is our project website, and it contains the profile summaries of 34 technologies and 9 approaches using the WOCAT format. So it's accessible, and we have all of this. Just click it, and it will give you the summaries of a specific technology or approaches. It also contains videos where you could hear testimonies from some of our land users, so that you give us a good impression of what they achieve as far as specific technology is concerned. And then we also develop a decision support tool to select appropriate sustainable land management practices within the landscape. That could be according to a specific location, or specific or type of conservation measures, the main functions, or the type of land degradation that it intends to address. And also, so that you could be properly guided, what we did is to provide some sort of assessment of the technology trying to look on the production and socio-economic benefits, the sociocultural benefits, the ecological benefits, and the outside benefits of a specific technology, so that you could be provided with basis on the selection of appropriate technology. We also published a book. We call it Philippines Sustainable Land Management Case Studies, that contains the 34 technologies and 9 approaches that we have, which we distributed to planners and decision makers, including local government units, executives. While those books are basically highly technical, we try to develop materials which are more simplified and laymanized. So we produce IEC materials in English and written in 3 major dialects so that it could be used by farmers. So it's written in 3 major dialects in the country. And how did we communicate the result? Well, basically, we did a lot of presentations during island-wide consultations, briefing with the local government units, seminars, fora, and even farmers training. So those are basically our entry points to influence land users, policymakers, and even planners. So I would like to end my presentation with a conclusion that indeed, I would say that the Philippines has a wealth of SLM knowledge, both indigenous and science-based knowledge, but those are scattered around the country, and those are reflected by many model forms that we have. But sad to say, application of this knowledge remains slow. So we believe that this knowledge management decision support framework could be provided as a catalytic process to reach our planners, our local leaders for a more informed decision-making in which SLM practice would be more appropriate. But then we need research and development, capacity building for more SLM adaptation. And I believe the one that we provided right now are important inputs to our ambitious transformative program in landscape towards achieving land degradation neutrality, which we are now developing. We are now trying to develop a big proposal for JEP 7, which is anchored on integrated landscape management. So I would like to end my presentation with these slides. When water is scarce, we always say that every drop counts. Our landscape is also in dire need of SLM practices to address land degradation, and so every SLM practice of our land use should also be counted. But we need to upscale those so that we could have bigger impacts. With that, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Samuel. And we'll have an opportunity to come to all of you in just a moment. But I'd like to introduce Mohammed from Morocco, who will provide a presentation on the experience from Morocco. And as I mentioned earlier, we have 2 presentations, not in English. Mohammed will be speaking in French, if you need translation.
Donc c'est un honneur pour moi d'être parmi vous. Je remercie l'AFAO qui m'a invité. Le titre de la présentation, c'est du diagnostic du système d'utilisation des terres à la planification territoriale et à la mise à l'échelle de la gestion durable des terres dans des localités spécifiques au Maroc, et plus précisément au sud-ouest marocain. Comme la plupart d'entre vous savent, donc je vais parler de ce qu'a expliqué tout à l'heure Nicole. Donc, le cadre logique du projet est formé de 7 modules, comme tous les autres projets. Le premier est horizontal, donc le premier module est horizontal et a trait aux éléments de la stratégie, aux planification, au plan de travail et au partenariat et au renforcement des capacités des parties prenantes. Le deuxième module se rapporte aux évaluations nationales et régionales. Et le troisième module se rapporte au choix des localités prioritaires. Donc, le chemin devant vous qui est à l'intérieur de la bulle met en relief les liens établis et l'évaluation locale à la planification et la gestion et la mise en œuvre de la gestion durable des terres. Concernant, je vais être bref pour que c'est déjà expliqué. Donc, le module 4 concerne le recours aux outils LADA au cost pour l'évaluation de la dégradation des terres et la gestion durable des terres pour les différents systèmes d'utilisation de ces terres. Cela a permis une priorisation des aires d'implantation où nous allons travailler, où on travaille déjà, et le choix des bonnes pratiques. Le module 5, qui est en cours de finalisation, se rapporte à la planification territoriale, la priorisation et le plan d'action pour la mise en œuvre dans le cadre de partenariats, premièrement, identifiant des options de gestion durable des terres pour les niveaux locaux avec la participation des communautés donc locales en se basant sur les connaissances locales parce que la population locale a déjà quelques expériences que nous voulons extrapoler. La base de données WOCAT, ce qui permet la mise en place d'un pacte de développement territorial négocié et concerté et qui est en cours. L'atelier cette semaine, du 25 au 28, dont j'ai assisté. Tout d'abord, je viens directement de l'atelier de concertation qui est en cours de formation par l'expert avant sa soumission finale pour signature par toutes les parties prenantes. Donc cela sera suivi par l'implémentation et la généralisation des bonnes pratiques de gestion des terres, à l'image de ce que déjà le Haut Commissariat qui est impliqué dans ce projet est déjà en train de réaliser la régénération de l'arganier. Vous savez que cette zone, c'est la zone la plus connue au monde par cette espèce d'arganier, Argania spinosa. L'amélioration de parcours par la plantation d'Atriplex numilaria, et la conservation des sols, la compensation du maison de fonds, parce qu'au Maroc maintenant, pour mettre une maison de fonds, pour 100 hectares, on doit payer aux bénéficiaires qui utilisaient cet espace pour le parcours, on leur paye 350 dirhams par hectare et par an, jusqu'à la fin de la mise en défense. On a aussi la distribution de plants fruitiers, oliviers et amandiers principalement, et la distribution de ruches et de fours améliorés pour la cuisson. Ensuite, on procède à la généralisation sur d'autres niveaux, régional et national, qui sera conclu dans le cadre d'une stratégie d'intégration, mainstreaming et de scaling out avec Madame Soledad de la FAO. Ici, on a, c'est-à-dire la production d'une multitude de cartes qui ont été produites pour le niveau régional selon la méthode QM, LADA ou CAST. Nous avons à droite une évaluation par type de dégradation concernant l'érosion hydrique. Et en bas à droite, une carte une carte d'utilisation de bonnes pratiques contre l'érosion hydrique. Ces cartes, donc des cartes du système d'utilisation des terres, ont été produites à l'échelle des 3 communes sélectionnées, en l'occurrence la commune territoriale d'Amskrud, la commune d'Enzi et la commune de Temri. Ce sont des communes prioritaires qu'on travaille avec la FAO. Ainsi, les outils d'aide à la décision de l'ADA Coast ont permis la compréhension intégrée de la dégradation des terres et la gestion durable des terres en combinant le biophysique et le socio-économique. Deuxième point, la priorisation des paysages aux zones et des actions à entreprendre. Ainsi, en troisième point, mettre en place une base de suivi. Nous avons ici les étapes poursuivies pour la planification territoriale et la mise en place de bonnes pratiques. Donc, nous allons essayer de clarifier l'évaluation participative de la dégradation des terres et leur gestion selon l'outil d'aide à la décision, l'ADA-OCOS, toujours, qui nous a permis d'atteindre des résultats des évaluations de dégradation des terres et la gestion durable, notamment la gestion des terres adoptées par les usagers et les contraintes à sa mise en place. Donc, on a ici, par exemple, concernant la perte de fertilité est contournée par l'ajout de la fumure. Cela a un effet positif. D'après l'étude. Donc, il est adopté par la population à 90% au niveau de la commune rurale, des communes rurales d'Amskrud qui est étudiée ici. Toutefois, les petites quantités produites et le nombre cheptel limité et les petites quantités et le manque d'habilité pour la fabrication du fumier laissent présager que des contraintes persistent à l'élaboration et l'adaptation de cette pratique et son exécution. Donc ici, ce n'est qu'un exemple. Il y a d'autres exemples. Donc pour finir. Donc l'analyse de ces contraintes dans des processus clés de prise de décision avec les différentes parties prenantes. Ce qui nous permet de nous mettre d'accord sur les systèmes prioritaires et les bonnes pratiques à mettre en place. Ce qui nous permet aussi de mettre en place une planification triennale, triennale glissante, ascendante, parce qu'il vient de la base, et mode d'exécution, définition de partenaires et parties prenantes concernées, et les responsabilités sont clarifiées et explicitées, ainsi que le plan d'action physique qui est concerté. Donc, cette planification entraîne l'établissement d'impact de développement territorial qui est en cours maintenant pour ce projet. Tous les parties prenantes telles que autorités locales, administration publique, élus communaux, les ONG, les associations locales, représentants la population sont invités à chaque atelier pour se mettre d'accord sur les actions prioritaires et nécessaires. Donc, par exemple, l'atelier du 25 au 28 avril, Non, 20, au mois de novembre, c'est-à-dire cette semaine, au début de cette semaine. Donc ici, il y a les élus et les associations, qui montrent clairement l'emplacement et leurs besoins en action. Voilà le tableau, parce que, exemple, ici c'est la communauté de Tamri, donc voilà les bonnes pratiques, voilà les responsables, les plans d'action sont déjà précisés, donc on achète, ici c'est les partenaires qui seront concernés par chaque action. Voilà que la photo, c'est-à-dire de cet atelier. Et nous remercions nos experts, M. Firas et Théodora, qui ont été très utiles pour nous. Et ça, c'est la sortie de terrain, la pépinière. Je vous remercie.
Thanks so much, Mohammed. And now the floor is open for you for questions for our country colleagues. I would just like to also say that we would be remiss, FAO and WOCAT together, who are together implementing this project with our country colleagues, we'd be remiss to say that this was also, we were very lucky to receive funding from the Global Environment Facility to support this initiative, but most of the money, most of the resources, most of the effort comes from countries themselves. And I think you've probably seen a taste of that. So the floor is open for you. Any questions for our colleagues? We have one, I hope we've got some microphones here. Okay, so we have a question, one over here to start with. Please, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for the excellent presentations. I was particularly impressed of the presentation of Uzbekistan with a clear measurement of the impact. You mentioned that farmers' income had increased fourfold. That is tremendous. It's really game-changing. So have you, there's a good British saying, the proof of the pudding is in eating. Have you seen other farmers already adopting these same practices if it's so profitable to do such practices? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let me just see if there are any other questions from the audience here. There's one here, sorry. Thank you.
No. So thank you for the talks. It was very interesting, and I have a specific question to Mr. Contreras about why does the application of those strategies remain low and slow, and what role do farmers play in this, and how could it be improved?
Thank you very, very much for that question. Are there any further questions before I come back to there's one here. Go right ahead.
Hello, thank you also very much. They were very interesting. I just have a question regarding the farmers. How did they face challenges implementing this? And if yes, how did you overcome, or how did you reach out to the farmers and make them more encouraged to implement these practices? Thank you.
Wait, was that a question for everyone, by the way, or
well,
just
I
out
think
of curiosity?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic.
In every case, they were working.
Absolutely, yes, yeah.
Yes,
okay, so maybe I'll turn over to Umid first for the question about.
You're fully right. Is it working?
It should be working. Yeah.
You're fully right. Of course, it's necessary to show, first of all, technologies. Low-cost technologies, how it's possible to improve situation and how it's possible to sustainable land management organized. During organizing Institute of Farmers, in that institute came dryers, doctors, everybody, but they don't know well about agricultural measures. That is why, of course, it's necessary to organize some course of knowledge increasing capacity building, first of all. Next one, we organized farmer schools there, and more than 760 farmers, they went in this operation and they saw these activities of these farmers. They know very well about this one. Of course, it's necessary to spread this one. And that is why I told that up to the 25, we will increase this one up to 10,000 hectares of lands. Because of it's necessary, under the umbrella FAO, we did it already. I mean, farmer schools. But of course, it's necessary to spread it. This one, the main thing which is necessary to show why such high events we achieved. Because we show how it's possible after cotton, what is necessary to grow there. And directly during all the year, we can use the land. We have winter period. We have summer period. But if we use, for example, winter wheat, of course, we will be able to win it. And as minimum 4 crops, we can grow during the one season. That is why, of course, the income increase very quick, because we show simple technologies, how it's possible to do it. This one, you are fully right that the farmers, first of all, it's necessary to show for farmers that farmer will be the winner of this one. That is why during the explanation of all the measures, we explained him that finally you will be the winner, and we show roughly, approximately how much they won. That is why, of course, they believed in our technologies. And that is why we choose the farmers who want to work together with us. And of course, this experience, we try to spread it. We know very well that if FAO organized a lot of farmer schools around the world, we did it already, and we try to spread it. Thank you very much for questions.
Thank you, Umit. And I think, obviously, Samuel, perhaps you could respond to the adoption process with farmers. And Javier, would you mind responding to the more general question about outreach to farmers, if you wouldn't mind? Samuel.
Well, actually, as I mentioned in my presentation, the adoption of sustainable land management in the Philippines is quite low and slow. Well, primarily because not that we have no knowledge about SLM, but it's more of the knowledge gap in terms of the economics, the impacts, and the area covered by a specific sustainable land management technology. That's why, as part of our program, we try really to get good information from the land users themselves, and let the land users provide better information of on how they succeeded in their specific adoption of a technology. Of course, that is within the context of trying to look on the knowledge, the perspective of the knowledge. But there are also other barriers in terms of why farmers are not adopting SLM. One is, of course, tenure security. There are areas that farmers are hesitant to plant trees because their security, they have no security in terms of their tenure. Yes, they will plant trees, but after so many years, it's the owner who will get the benefits. So those are some of the barriers. Another barrier is more of economics, or if you adopt SLM, sometimes they are thinking that they don't have the resources to pursue that. If you put in hedgerows, they are thinking that their effective area would be reduced. So you have to explain all of those considerations as far as technology is concerned. But for tenure, we are putting in tenure instruments, like, for instance, this community-based forest management instruments, which is being used so that the farmers could feel that they have their own land to till, and they could adopt SLM in their own land. The sense of ownership should be there, and that's what we are working right now.
Thank you, Samuel. And Javier, if you wouldn't mind, the question relating to how can we really reach out to farmers? What are the best ways of reaching out to farmers?
Bien, hay diferentes tipos de situaciones, pero particularmente la experiencia que tenemos es con agricultores pequeños y medianos. Digamos, el secreto que encontramos con ellos es que ellos mismos se capaciten entre ellos, es muy importante. Primero, hay que demostrarles que las prácticas de manejo sostenible realmente son beneficiosas para ellos, inicialmente desde lo económico, luego desde lo social y casi al final varía la parte ambiental. Es un poco la forma de trabajar con ellos. Cuando se demuestra que los primeros tuvieron bastantes resultados positivos, los que están al lado, ellos mismos copian de los demás estas técnicas. Quizá una de las cosas que toca empezar a dejar es el paternalismo que llamamos nosotros de parte de los gobiernos, en el sentido de empezar a dejarles todo, darles todo, ¿no? Porque cuando se les da todo, se acaba el proyecto y ellos terminan devolviéndose hacia las prácticas que normalmente han aprendido. Cuando ellos ven que sus propias actividades generan unos factores muy positivos económicos, pero particularmente para las familias pequeñas, para los pequeños agricultores, lo que es la autonomía alimentaria es muy importante, o sea que de su propia finca todavía dependa su alimentación, es muy importante y eso arraiga en la tierra, ¿no? Hay un arraigo en la tierra y eso permite que los agricultores, y luego que luego viene también la intervención necesariamente de los asistentes técnicos que les están enseñando constantemente las nuevas tecnologías sobre las cuales se deben de trabajar y los beneficios que están causando a largo plazo particularmente, porque siempre tenemos una medida a corto plazo, qué es lo que nos beneficia este año o el otro año, pero a largo plazo para las diferentes generaciones. Yo siempre pienso que esa palabra sostenibilidad, que es una cosa futura, la hemos degenerado y realmente se tiene que ver justamente esos beneficios ambientales a largo plazo.
Gracias, Javier. Are there any additional questions for our panelists? Then, colleagues, we're up against the lunch hour now. What I'd like to propose, if you do have any questions, we're actually going to remain behind here and have a short meeting with our panelists. And if there are any additional questions, if you'd like to speak to any one of our country colleagues and panelists, we would invite you to come and have a quick discussion with them right now, because we are going to be here for a little while. We'd like to thank you very much for coming. If there's one message that we would like to leave with you, we hope that you've seen a little sampling of how this approach, the modular approach, is flexible. It allows countries to dip in and, based on their needs, based on their diverse interests and challenges that they're dealing with, that they can develop different components and apply different components as they need them, as they are addressing those needs in countries. So with that, please join me in thanking our panelists and also thanking our translators.